Hello guys, this is Christina and my weekly industry updates, what's been going on in photography, commercial, fashion and also fine art industry. If you would like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to my YouTube IGTV channel, and if you would like to support me, you can become my patron on Patreon, and if you do that, you will get an access to some exclusive materials, learning and inspirational materials, also to BTS of how I work. So if you are interested in that, see the link below the video. So let's take a look what's been happening last week. So one campaign that really caught my eye was shot by Arnaud Lajeunie for Fenty Eyewear. If you guys know, or some of you maybe don't know, Fenty is Rihanna's brand. So knowing Rihanna, it's always about bold style and, colorful and interesting shapes, all about this very expressive personality. So the campaign also has to feature that. So, and I think why I actually wanted to show you that is because it's a really interesting approach photographically how to show all these qualities. And in this case, which is not so traditional, we don't see this that often, when basically there is almost no light into the model's face. As you can see, it's a beauty shot, right? So we're focusing mainly on the face. We see a little bit of the elements of the clothing, but we can barely recognize the features of the model, and the main focus is just on the eyewear. So how it's been done, basically she's lit from the behind, just a little bit of light peeking on this side to the side of her face, but mainly it's her silhouette. Basically we don't see any details here except for the glasses. And I think there was no even a light source from the front. Perhaps there's been some bounce card or reflectors to kick some of the light back, but not a lot. And I think what also helped that the model has such a dark skin, and so the eyewear is much brighter, so it's easier for it to pick up that reflected light. And I'm sure there's been also some help in post-production, but it's quite interesting. I really like, that technical approach to it, basically. It looks very nice and graphic. You can still see, some features. You can recognize some details and on the clothing and on her face as well. But the main element, of course, is the glasses, which is really cool. And I like, how the light is so soft and it's just wrapping around her on both sides, and it looks like almost everything looks very soft and sort of like this matte plastic or matte, some kind of rubbery textures. It's very cool. It gives me nice feelings just by looking at it. And especially like this shot where you can see a little more, she's turning more towards the light, so you can see a little more detail and you can kind of like tell where her eyes are, but also the light looks really cool on the glasses here. Very nice and soft, very, very, I mean, it's not such a hard setup, but I think it's hard to envision it and execute it well. So, okay, so that was Fenty's campaign. Let's take a look at another editorial actually that caught my eye. If you guys have seen my other videos, and I did some time ago my artist book reviews, and one of the photographers that was my earliest inspiration was Erwin Olaf. He was a Dutch photographer, and he has this very recognizable, very painterly style no matter what he photographs. And so he shot this campaign, not a campaign but an editorial for Vanity Fair, which is also very much his style, very painterly, very artistic. and it's so different from many editorials that are now being produced by younger generation photographers nowadays. It's always like it's overly styled, I would say. There's a lot of details. There's, heavily detailed interiors and backgrounds and environments, and there's a lot of post-production. This just looks like a Renaissance painting to me. It's absolutely exquisite. But it's so interesting how different it looks from what we are now used to seeing in fashion photography and editorial shoots and campaigns. And it just looks like a painting. And I'm sure there's been so much post-production that went into it. But it's interesting that he still stays true to himself, and obviously he works with a giant team of stylists, and all the details, the hair, all these accessories, everything is so thought through. And I'm sure he like sketches it out and discusses with his team, and the poses, I think he really directs them exactly how to stand and hold and turn and all those things. So it's really interesting. This is probably my favorite shot out of the whole campaign because it seems a bit more emotional to me. And the hair is so amazing here, and all the colors, I just love it. And it looks so interesting in combination with the saturated skin tone, while everything else is so vivid and colorful. And this one is also, of course, I really, really love, but this is just like a painting. You can just frame it and put it up on the wall. So yeah, that's Erwin Olaf for you. And let's take a look at the next campaign that is completely different. And I like to show it to you as a contrast of how editorials nowadays and how campaigns can be approached, which is all different paths in fashion photography, and they both have their right to exist, and both work for certain goals and certain audiences, attracting specific audiences and people interested in fashion and fashion brands. So this was shot for Zara Spring Summer campaign by Matteo Montanari. Very, very snapshot aesthetic, as you can see. Very simple, as opposed to Arnaud that we just talked about. Editorial. This one has almost no retouching. It just looks like it came straight out of the camera, and it looks like it was shot on film. And love the colors. It's all very sunny, very warm look. Lots of movements, very loose sort of framing. Whatever happened to be in the frame. It's focused on accessories, but you can still see the energy of this young model, just relaxing and having fun and just being herself, and just snapped so casually. It just looks so casually. It doesn't feel staged at all, as opposed to the work that we've just looked at before. So she's just being herself and looking at the camera like a friend is photographing her. She's just like, yeah, we're just hanging out, sort of. It feels very honest and very real, and I think that's what makes it so attractive, right? So you totally believe her, and you believe the photographer in the real moment that really happened, and you kind of want to, as a potential customer, you kind of want to share maybe those happy summer moments, and maybe buy these accessories. I also really like the black and white iteration of the same campaign, probably even shot on the same day but with a different camera, different film, which is also, it has its own aesthetic. It's like the lens flare. It's very candid, very spontaneous. They just like being walking together, and then this shot is so beautiful. Like she's this innocence that's captured in her face. It makes it so attractive. The youth and the innocence. There's other things that are going to be this timeless commodity that you can always show and make people attracted to your images. And this is the one that I also really like. It's simple, like you say anyone can do this, and I think it's true, anyone could do this, but to have the idea in mind and to be really sure in what you want to express, and finding the right model and finding the right environment and the right medium, and like all those little details that can come together, that's what makes this so strong. And so these are all for our fashion photography news. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is fine art news. This is the website of Photolucida, as an organization that does portfolio reviews, boot camps on photography, and also does competitions. And they just opened a new competition for photographers, available to all levels and all genres of photography. And this is, you can see the last year's winners, and you can tell that is more sort of documentary and fine art based, but I think anyone can apply, and it doesn't really matter what genre you work in. If your work is great, if it's still life or it's mixed media, if it's really great, I think it will be definitely recognized by the judges. And why specifically this competition? Why am I even mentioning it specifically? It's the judges who are looking at this work. So let me take you to the list of reviewers. And this is really, really special, because these are the people who are really good magazine editors, New York Times, Vogue, all these big names, and also gallery owners and producers and collectors. And so you can see these are not random people. These are people that are in very high positions in the industry, and Center of Fine Art Photography executive directors, Museum of Fine Arts, National Geographic magazine editors. These are all really, really important people. So to get your work in front of them, no matter what genre you're working, is really a great opportunity. So I really encourage you to look into this competition, photolucida.org, and apply. Be confident enough and dare to apply. Why not? You have to do it. And that will be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on all my channels and on Patreon. And see you soon next week.